Good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to thank you for coming and listening to my story. I have two brothers. Both of them have sadly been involved in a nationwide epidemic. I have a clear memory of my older brother, in a sense, losing himself in middle school. He was a classic picture of a bully victim. Quiet, introverted, low self-esteem. Kids notice things like this. They notice and they poke and they prod to find out why some are different. And as a result of this poking and prodding, he was emotionally hurt. And hurt to the point where a child who is passionate for learning decided to stop attending school. This happened right here in Itasca County. Ever since then, I've been looking at bully victim programs, talking to teachers about my brother's situation, looking on blogs with people with similar experiences, and the average response to my questions and my questions is that the teachers just don't know. There's too many children in their classes for them to know each child individually in a way that they notice that things are wrong. And me personally, I believe that if a school is too big and has too many students for the teachers to notice if there's something seriously wrong with their students, then a bully-free environment is something of science fiction. Because of this, I continue to ask myself, where were the teachers when my brother went through this? Why were the people who were supposed to protect him not there? And most importantly, was the truancy officer the only one to notice that he didn't show up to school? Was this problem taken seriously? Unfortunately, this story doesn't have a happily ever after ending. My brother basically stopped going to school until my parents decided to transfer him to a different school. He graduated, he got his diploma, a whole 9 yards. You could say that he is a successful student, but a successful person, even though he went through these problems, well, only time will tell that. My brother is not the only child or person who has been through social hardships like this. The reality of this epidemic is that it's a rabid social disease. To put into perspective, in the 2010-2011 school years, 70 to 75% of all United States students went through bullying. You may ask, like I have, why is it growing? Why is cyberbullying continuing to be more and more widespread? And why is it no matter how hard we try to prevent poverty and bad home life from ruining our generations, we fail? The answer that I've come up with is that it's evolving, not into a better community, nation, or species, but into a darkened and damp society. And with this evolution happening, with our children having to watch this evolution happen and be part of it, how can they possibly stand away from it? How can they get away? How can you expect them to become a successful community? And you might say that it's not like this with everyone, and you're right. But it can stop and start like you wouldn't believe. And I have another example for that, and that's with my younger brother, because as usual, if it's not one, it's the other. When you look at my little brother, he's a happy kid. He's nice to be around sometimes. He's smart, and he's gone through a lot more than a lot of us have. He has a condition called cerebral palsy, and he doesn't have use of his left arm. Last year, right before he turned 13, life hit really hard. It was bigger than any of us have ever went through, and we've always had kind of an unpredictable home life, but this was hard. And everyone deals with things differently, but he just didn't. It kept on festering until he would fly off the handle at every given moment. It got to the point where he punched his best friend. Think of what he would do to people that he didn't like. Our times were only hard for a few months, and this started happening with him. And this gives you a time to think about kids who live with this, kids who have to deal with this all their lives, their entire lives based off of things that they can't and don't have the ability to deal with, years of weight that they can't deal with. Since both aspects are so close to me and they affect my own family, I have been growing in a passion to stop it, or at least try to pull this generation out of its speeding decline. The reason that I'm here today is to make you aware, or if you are aware, a reminder is always nice. When I first started getting into researching programs, I almost immediately found a program called Ovilus. In the 70s, a man named Dan Ovilus started to gather data about bullying, the attitudes of victims and bullies, the home lives of both. The list goes on of basic bullying tendencies that he found, and he created a list of basically potential incubators of this issue that we're talking about. And this includes negative parental attitudes, attachment disorders, inadequate limits, aggression and violence are permitted and even reinforced, extreme physical punishment, emotional outbursts, unpredictable parental responses, inadequate supervision, and general aggressive temperament. These alone, even though it's a pretty heavy subject, there are a lot of other things that come into it, but just these things have proved children inept when it comes to relationship skills, managing behavior, trusting authorities, and having a healthy view of power and accountability. I know this is a heavy subject for a lot of you, whether you have been a bully or have been bullied, or your child has been bullied or been a bully, or even if you have had a loved one go through something like this. I know it hits, and it hits hard. But there is good news. I am not the only one standing out here wanting to make a difference. You in the audience who have had these issues, you're not the only one who notices, who wants to make a change. There are hundreds of thousands of programs available to us as a community and as a people. Just to name a few of them, there's the ACT program, SAFE, Kidscape, peer mediation. The government has even come up with a 121A policy plan to stop bullying. The government. National Bullying Prevention Centers. Youth Founders, Take a Stand, Steps to Respect, Bully Proofing, the Youth Alliance, Educators of Social Responsibility, and Council for Unity. This is a small list. The variety is huge. The variety of all that's out there is even bigger. And this isn't even counting the companies and organizations that give money to people who want to change, that give grants, that offer their time and their money for a bully-free environment. Why aren't we taking advantage of them? We should. We should take advantage of what we have at hand. We need to act. We need to actively get children in a better frame of mind, in the frame of mind where they think, I can, I want to, and I will. And we as a community have to give that example. To start this ideal, I want to start with my school. My school is Northern Lights Community School. It's a little charter school in Warba. The school itself has around 120 students, including myself and my younger brother. The education is based off of a tight-knit community. Anyone who's familiar with it will know this. And the teaching is effective and efficient. But bullying has not spared this school. As mentioned before, what can we do? What can I do? What are the resources that I have and we as a community have to make it go away? And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the recent charter school standards that have been changed, but NLCS, along with hundreds of other charter schools, have had to find an authorizer. An authorizer is basically an organization or a company that funds the school in order so that it'll be able to keep on doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is educating. NLCS got the Audubon Center. This means a lot. It's very important that we got them. We're a lot luckier than a lot of charter schools in Minnesota were. But the most important thing about this is that we can become an outdoor school. We have the backup and the want to do it. We have the entire northern Minnesota wilderness open to this school to make a difference. And I want to use it. I want to get kids outside, get them together with one another, doing real team building, learning real life skills. Things like making them citizens of their own community. When you give someone, especially children, a community that they can be a citizen of, where they can have an opportunity to give their opinion, when they can say something that matters, the changes are drastic. Resulting in this, especially with discussing it, with them knowing that they made the right decision and being a part of a decision that doesn't have life-threatening consequences, they can become more reasonable people, hopefully. Just exposing them to critical thinking without being in these harsh conditions might make a difference and might make them know that people care about what they think. And it might change their attitude around so that they care about what people think too. They will hopefully have an appreciation for everyone's opinion, and most importantly, their own opinion. And again, show the example. If it doesn't work out like we thought it was going to work out, be flexible. Show them that we want to do what they think is right. Give them the opportunity to give feedback on how this program is working. With bits and pieces of this life experience being instilled in our community's children, we may be able to make a dent on this epidemic that is happening to us. And now here's the big question. Will you help? Will you, as a person in the community, stand up? Be a cure against this disease? Will you join the fight for a bully-free world? Thank you.